Hello, I'm Amelia Ingle, and I want you to imagine this. You walk into a room where there's a big red carpet in front of you and about 80 people waiting for you to speak. If you're at all like me, your heart is racing, palms are sweaty, and your brain is screaming at you, leave. Every instance is telling you to run away. And to be clear, this feeling isn't abnormal. Nervousness and anxiety find their ways to fill the room. Mental health struggles affect millions of people around the world every day. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, many teens across the world experience anxiety disorders that makes public speaking feel overwhelming. They would never imagine standing on a stage like this right now. But anxiety isn't the only struggle people face. Other people struggle with depression, which drains their motivation before the day has even started. Others struggle with panic attacks, which makes their heart pound and chest tighten out of nowhere. Some people live with social anxiety, which makes a simple conversation feel terrifying. In moments like these, fear will be loud. In moments like these, all the person wants to do is be quiet. But what if courage didn't mean suddenly becoming fearless? What if it meant you only had to be brave for 30 seconds? In Brooke Heberling's article, 30 Seconds of Courage, she explains that sometimes growth begins with doing the opposite action. This is when you choose to do the complete opposite of what your fears tell you to do. As she recommends, those first moments of courage can shift the entire direction of what happens next. So today, I want you to imagine standing in that room again. Your heart is pounding, but this time you will stay, because those 30 seconds of courage is all it takes to change the story. When I began exploring this idea, I realized that I couldn't just talk about it. I had to try it out for myself. So I did something that scares me. I walked up to the Chipotle cashier and asked for an extra fork. And to my surprise, she didn't scream and yell. She gave me the fork. And in those 30 seconds, I wanted to back out. I felt so unsure and very awkward and very uncomfortable, but I stayed. And that moment did change something. It didn't magically make me fearless, but it proved that fear doesn't control me unless I let it. And that does matter, especially when discussing mental health, because right now, so many people are struggling. According to the CDC, about 20% of children and teens experience a mental health disorder each year. And for adults, it's very similar. Around 20% of adults in the United States experience a mental illness annually. So I want you to think about this. If we have 80 people in this room, that means 20 of them are struggling. So if you are not alone. And fear, the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, plays a huge role in that. But here's the truth. You don't need to fix everything at once. You don't need an hour of bravery. You don't need to feel ready. You just need 30 seconds. Because those 30 seconds can start a conversation. They will push you to try. They can interrupt a cycle of fear. And most importantly, they will remind you there are always ways to recover. What I'm saying isn't just an idea. It's all backed up by real people, real stories, and real data. In the writing, 30 Seconds of Courage by Brooke Heberling, who also happens to be my ELA teacher, there are a few moments where she describes how just 30 seconds of doing the complete opposite of what your fears tell you to do, can change everything. The concept, often called opposite action, is actually used in therapy today. It is the idea that even when your brain is working against you, your actions can still move you forward in the process, so you will never be completely stuck. Organizations like Recovery Warriors exist because recovery is achievable. These organizations share stories of people who don't just survive their struggles, but learn how to fight back against them. And no, they are still not perfect. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, only about 48% of people with a mental illness receive treatment. And among those with serious conditions, only 62% of them get help. I'm going to say that again. Only 62% of them get help. That means millions of people are still struggling silently. In fact, about 3 out of 5 people with a history of mental illness do not receive treatment at all. But even when things get complicated, there is always hope. Research stated by Mental Health America shows that 54% of young people with depression or anxiety begin to recover within a year, even without formal treatment. That information tells us something important. The human brain is resilient. People can get better. But not only that, it tells us something we can't ignore. Because while 54% of them recover, that means almost half of them don't. Nearly half of young people are still struggling a year later, still fighting the same thoughts, still feeling stuck, still waiting for something to change. And that is why all of this matters so much. Because recovery isn't just about time passing, it's about action. It's about support, and it's about bravery. It's about those small, terrifying moments, the courageous moments where we choose to speak up, reach out, or do the exact opposite of what our minds are telling us to do. So yes, there are always ways to recover. But again, those ways don't just happen to you. They start with a moment and a choice, just 30 seconds of courage. When it comes down to doing something so simple, it will always seem really hard. Some people make it through this, and some people are still in it, and people tend to forget that. We hear things like, it will always get better. And yeah, sometimes it does. But if you're sitting there right now and it hasn't gotten better yet, those words can feel kind of meaningless. Because you're still the one waking up tired, you're still the one overthinking everything, you're still the one pretending to be okay even though you're not. And the scary part is, nobody can tell. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. So if that's you, like actually you, not just someone out there, I'm not going to stand here and tell you to suddenly be brave. I'm not going to stand here and tell you to just take 30 seconds of courage like it's that easy, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes even getting through the day is the brave thing. And if you're not ready yet, that's also okay. There are people, real people, who exist just to sit in that space with you. Organizations like National Alliance on Mental Illness and Recovery Warriors were created so you don't have to figure everything out on your own. You don't have to jump all the way to better. You don't have to have some huge breakthrough. But I do want to tell you one thing. There's going to come a moment, and it's not going to be big or dramatic. It'll most likely be small. Just a thought that slips in your mind, like maybe I could say something. Maybe I could text someone. Maybe I could ask for help. Maybe I could give it a try. And when that moment shows up, that's your moment. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing to take it. Because those tiny moments, they're how everything starts. Not all at once, not magically, just one small, brave choice at a time. And that choice could be the beginning of everything changing. So now, when will it be your 30 seconds of courage? Thank you.